X-Men 97 episode 4 is bland but still great. This might not be everybody's favorite episode so far in because of the twists that came with it, which was having 2 story parts in an episode. In this episode, we got 2 part stories in one, Motendo being the part 1 which focused on Jubilee and Sunspot adventure, and the second part being Life Death part 1 which delves into Forge and Storm's arc. Forge and Storm's arc saved this episode for me and made it great, but we obviously can compare the episodes with the previous ones we've gotten in terms of the storyline and the action scenes. This episode just lacks the tension and the depth the previous ones had. Like in episode 1, we got a whole Cyclops accolades, if that makes sense. The action scenes and generally just being the introductory episode of the show, it was meant to be good. Episode 2, we got Magneto's arc and Storm losing her powers. These are the depth and emotional impact that they had that episode 4 wanted to miss. In episode 3, we got Madeline Pryor and Sinister's arc with all the action scenes, the emotional depth and the revelations that came with it. So episode 4 fell short in regards to these impacts the previous ones had, but hey, I will cut this episode some slack because it was okay and fun for the most part. Some may call it a filler episode. I don't think it's a filler episode. I don't see the point in having a filler episode for a 10 episode project. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Episode 3 ended with Storm meeting Forge in the bar, and in this episode we delved deeper into their story and what they are dealing with. I really enjoyed their interactions. Their conversations were meaningful. It allowed them to connect on a deeper level. We explored Forge's backstory, got to know who he is, his abilities and how they work. Again, I love how the show always carries everybody along with each characters by having the characters explain their abilities and how it works. Forge can understand any kind of technology and can also create anything he imagines. Like, that is really dope if you ask me. One thing I admired from Forge and Storm's conversations was how Storm had the perfect response to almost anything.
Like a Rubik's Cube on constant autopilot.
Or simply a genius.
Well, life and love, God help me. But if you're needing a neat toaster or a thing that'll store your mutant powers,
or a bowl of this delicious chili.
Like, you can tell she has her ways with words that touch deep. I found her thought process and conversational skills to be really enjoyable. What Storm and Forge had was beautiful. It's funny how Forge had Storm all feminine and cute. Like, this was my first time seeing Storm in this position, if that makes sense. It made me view her character from a different perspective. Before, it was all about, oh, I'm the goddess, always fighting and shit, just being generally serious and not having this relief. I've never really seen her in this position before, so it was refreshing for me to see her in this position. Her and Forge really complemented each other very well. Forge confessing his love for Storm was charming, although I do feel their dynamic is being rushed, but I still think it was great. Forge tried to help Storm get her powers back with the machine he built, but it turns out it's not as easy as it seems. Storm needs to settle her internal trauma and be able to move past it before she can at least get her powers back. This scene where she was begging the wind to hear her out was really emotional. Like, you can see a cry from someone that is really helpless and is going through it, even though she tries to hide it. I can't wait for when she gets her powers back, because it's Storm we're talking about. Like, she's one of my favorite OG X-Men characters, so she needs to get her powers back ASAP. Forge's desire to help Storm get her powers back stemmed from a sense of guilt that his past decisions might have played a role in Storm losing her abilities, because it turned out Forge was a mastermind behind creating devices that could neutralize mutants' abilities. In the past, Forge suffered severe injuries during his time as a soldier in a war, and he lost his limbs. Despite his ability to easily rebuild himself, he lacked the necessary resources to rebuild, so he resorted to helping the government to build devices that could be used to neutralize mutants, and in return they helped him with all the necessary resources he needs to make himself whole again. That is why you get to see him with this robotic hand and legs. I'm like, that is really bad, because why you know that these devices are going to neutralize your kind's abilities, and you giving into that, I don't know what to say to you, Mr. Forge. That revelation definitely came as a shocker to Storm, because why is her Mr. Right somehow part of the mutant's big problem? It hurts more because somehow Storm can't trust him again, but she still very much needs his help. What's funnier is how my guy Forge figured out that he might lose Storm. He then decided to go ahead to confess his feelings for her, but Storm gave him a hard slap. I'm sorry my guy, it doesn't work that way. Since he has gotten to this, you have to properly redeem yourself to her before she can trust you again at this point. So with disappointment, Storm left him and wandered off, but she mysteriously found herself back in the house. This time, a demonic creature that made me want to turn my room lights on immediately was in the room with them. It attacks them, bites Forge and throws him away, then captured Storm. It calls itself the adversary. I can't wait for what happens next because this demon is looking like a badass and that he will be a problem. That's a big reveal if you ask me. Jubilee's arc is what made this episode meh and boring for the most part because it was what we started with. I've always wondered why Jubilee is even on the main X-Men team. I don't even understand her abilities and how it works. All I see is her just making like explosions. I don't get how this is going to be very useful in fights and how it secured her a space in the main X-Men mention. I mean, I don't know, get me right if I'm wrong guys. In this episode, it was Jubilee's 18th birthday. I believe it's probably what made people think this was a filler episode because why are we randomly getting a Jubilee's birthday episode? But it was a build up to her main arc, which was the video game adventure and also meeting her cyberpunk future self. It was nice meeting the future Jubilee in this game. We saw how strong Jubilee can get with her abilities. Having the cyberpunk Jubilee acts as the mentor for Jubilee is like the perfect birthday present for her if you ask me, because Magneto was not in the mood for a birthday celebration for her. I liked seeing Jubilee and Sunspot's relationship get stronger as the episode progresses. I knew they were up to something because they've been moving together since episode 1, so it's only right if they form a relationship. In this episode, both of them got sucked into this video game where they met Mojo. It was fun and adventurous. Jubilee telling Sunspot to use his abilities was spot on because bro wanted to be funny, because I'm like, why will you be in danger and you can't use your abilities to save yourself, all because you feel like your parents might see you on the TV? Like, that was so funny.
It would be a lot easier if you just used your powers.
What if there's cameras around? My parents could see me on TV.
Die, beauty!
Do you really think everyone is focused on you?
Yeah, like bro needs to start using his abilities at this point. Mojo was fun. I liked the voice acting. It was mischievously captivating. This malnourished Mojo look was low-key funny, I'm never going to lie. I like the idea that he gets back to his normal size when he starts seeing good reviews. The video game concept and seeing the world of Mojo wasn't bad either. Overall, I thought this episode was an okay package. I think the episode is necessary in creating a realistic pace for what's to come, if that makes sense, and it was a perfect way to usher in Storm and Forge's arc. Cyclops and Jean were the only team members missing in this episode. I believe Bishop is still out in the future with Baby Cable, judging from the last episode. To me, this episode was saved by Forge and Storm's arc. If you made it to this level of the video, you're the real MVP. I really appreciate you watching my videos. Please like the video and also subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Let me know what you think about episode 4 of X-Men 97 in the comments below. I will see you guys in my next video. I'm out of here.